Okay, so we are on the Photoshop collage, and what I've been noticing is that oftentimes people aren't reading my instructions, and they're so short. So I really do want you guys to make sure that you read and go to the links that I provide. It'll help you. So for this assignment, you're going to be creating a poster to promote your favorite band or musician. You need to meet the following requirements. Your poster should reflect the ability to use Photoshop to assemble a collage using the following. You're going to need to use the refine edge in your selection tools. So what that means is that in any selection tool, you need to make sure that you've gone in there and blurred the edge a little bit, softened it a little bit, made sure you had a good selection. So let's see if I can open something recent. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. If I have a selection, then I want to make sure that you guys are using the Refine Edge button, where you can go into this selection and make sure that it is selecting exactly what you want to see here. You can come in and say, oh, I need the edge to be a little softer, and you can see how it's blurring the edge of my selection now. Or you can view it in different modes. Like I like to look at it in overlay a lot so I can see the rest of the illustration to see if there's more I need to add or take away from the selection. Let's say that when I look at this, I see that my selection, anything that is not red is what I currently have selected. And maybe I'll say, oh no, now that I see this, there's something over here I still want selected. You want to come in, you can cancel out of Refine Edge and come into your tool, and you can still add to your selection, or you can take away from your selection. You can do that in any selection tool. So with this collage assignment, I'm really going to pay attention to you're getting good with your selections. If you select a person, I don't want to see part of the background between their fingers or part of the background in their hair. When you paste it into your new document, you want the selection to look really good. So if you're having trouble making a good selection, you'll want to see me or an advanced student to ask for help. Okay, so part of the requirements are that you are using the Refine Edge button, which means you're softening your selection edge. Okay, it also says that I want you to use layer blending modes. So I'm going to demonstrate that really quickly. I'll deselect this, and I'm going to take a new layer, and I will just fill this layer. Select all. I'm going to fill it with a color and say edit fill. I've got my foreground color, and then in that layer I might do one more thing so that you can see what a blending mode will do. I will just take my pencil, and in this lovely color blue I'll draw all over here. Okay, so what a layer blending mode does is if I'm selected in a layer, then I have all these choices right here. Normal is the blending mode you're always using. It's just like a regular sheet of paper. But if you go in here, you can try some of these other ones out. What happens when I say darken? All of a sudden, when I say darken, see how it blends the upper layer with the layer below it. It took out all the white in my color layer and just blended it with the layer below. You can click on multiply, you can click on lighten. See how lighten turned my stars that were blue into white. So you kind of just go through these and see what they do to the two layers. There's all kinds of blending modes. So for this assignment, you're going to use the Refine Edge the blending modes. And then you guys learned about layer styles. That was what you just did your lesson on. So remember that you can come into layer styles and you can add something into the layered style. And see how that will change your layers. So play around with that as well. So see how I just added that with a layer style. What's nice about layer styles is that you can delete them and it won't affect the layer you were just working on. If you just add a filter to your layer, then you can't delete that later on. After a certain amount of times in history, you can't delete it. But when you make an effect from down here, you can easily just come into your layer later on and delete it when you're using the layer styles button. Okay, and then you're going to use masks, which you learned about when you put a picture inside of type. So you can have your type have a picture inside of it, or you can have any shape have a picture inside of it. Okay, then there are these requirements that say your poster needs to be 8.5 by 11, it needs to be 300 DPI, which also means PPI, pixels per inch. And this time our color mode is going to be RGB. And we're going to see what it looks like when it comes out of the printer as an RGB. The collage must utilize at least one photo of a person in the band. It must include a minimum of 10 borrowed images from the web that have this resolution here. And you can ask me if yours is really close and not quite this resolution, but you don't want to be searching for an image that is smaller than that. One photo must be of newsprint, so you're going to have newsprint in there. One photo must be of a background texture, and I'm going to show you what that means. So in Google, if you're doing a search, you can actually say background texture and do an image search, and it gives you a lot of different kind of textures. I love how a lot of these are blocked. So let's say you find something like this. This could be a cool texture that is the entire background of your poster, and you can import that into your file and then play with blending modes to make that work within your file. So I'm going to say this is always how you guys need to be finding the images, is you first find it, then you click on it, see what's the resolution. This one's going to work because it's large enough. You can see right here. You want to say view original image, and I don't know what just happened there. Normally when you say view original image, it will take you to, whoa, this is weird. Normally when you say view original image, it'll take you to the image. Let's try this again. Images, let's pick a different one. I'll pick this texture here. Bless you. Paisley. View an original image, I know, right? When I'm doing the video, of course. Okay, so this one turned out. So you do a right click on it and say save image as. And you want these to be going into your Photoshop collage folder. I was noticing people are already getting a little bit lazy, I don't know if that's the word, or just not noticing where they're saving to. Some people hadn't even created a new folder called Photoshop Collage, and your things should be going in there right now. So here's my picture. I say save. Then I would put my picture inside my document, and the way you can do that is you could say File Open in Photoshop. Go to your collage, you know where your picture is, you can open it. Then if you remember from the video, if you're in the Move tool, you can grab the picture, bring it into the tab of the other file, and then release it. And now you've got it in there. You can use, if you're in the Move tool, the way to change the size of the picture is to go up here to Show Transform Controls. and then you have to transform with the shift key so I don't lose the original proportions of my image. I'm going to just make this larger so I can see the whole thing as I'm working on it. I'm holding the shift key, moving it like this. So I've now got this texture, and this would be a great time for me to play with blending modes again. So I can have this texture maybe be below. I could try it right there and see what happens if I do different blending modes. So here's what happens when I do darken. All of a sudden I can see a little bit in the background there. I can do lighten. You can not see too much with that. Overlay, and you can start to see how it is blending. And you can change the opacity so that you can now see a little bit of the paisley and you see a little bit of the coloring, and you're starting to really blend how all those images come together. Okay, so that's what I mean by background. Let's go back to the assignment. So you have to include background texture, must include a type layer of the band's name as a major focal point. So that means it should be something that your eye is led to. And the way you can do that is by making sure it's a contrasting color. So if your whole poster has a blue feel to it, then what would be a contrasting color for your type to pop out? Orange. Good, because orange is a complement of blue. So then I show you that you can go here. If you go to this site, this is actually other ROP students' work. So I'm going to do Command V and show you. These are students doing the same assignment. So it was very similar. They didn't have to do it of a band, but they had to have some of the same requirements. So if you look at it, you can see that this is a picture of a bridge. The bridge was a mask for the newsprint. That's a really creative idea, and if you have no idea how to do that, then I can show you how to do that. Then they have this on the road is a blending mode. You see how you can see some of the newsprint through it. That's because of the blending mode that they chose. And they have words that are appearing in there, and they had textures that they have to use. So this is an example. This is another student example. Here, what's masking out, the photo of the student is being masked by this other shape. And then they have the newsprint blended in with that photo of the student. So these are really nice looking examples of what your stuff should look like. When you use blending modes, things start to kind of all blend into the same image. They don't look cut out and pasted onto a background. They look blended together. Okay, and then in the assignment, I give you guys other examples. I'm going to let you go to the other examples. These are actually professional artists. The first one was student work. So I expect yours to be as good as the student work that I showed a sample for. Okay, so does anybody have any generalized questions about that? I'm going to stop